Hello everyone, got a little job today. It's going to be something a little bit different. Back on a job that I did, quite a nice, we did some quite nice work on a little extension here. And the whole thing looks absolutely fantastic. The garden's all finished off now. And what the customers asked for is basically a table to be made to go into this sort of seating area here. So when he's outside dining, you've got somewhere to sit. Now we have got quite a bit of timber left over. We've got some offcuts of this larch cladding here and some bits of Douglas fir. So if we have a look in here, and I've got, look, a lovely sort of almost workshop set up here now. So we've got all these offcuts of Siberian larch. We've got a couple of lengths of Douglas fir. So I think what I'm going to do is make a very simple sort of table with a frame made out of this Douglas fir. The top will be made out of these Siberian larch, and I think the legs will probably rip out of this. It looks a bit grubby, but this is quite a decent bit of joinery grade. 75 by whatever that is, 200. So I'll cut 4 legs out of that. Be pretty simple, but it'll use this timber up and make him a nice simple garden table. So first job I think I'm going to do is rip these bits of Douglas fir down. Nice. Right, top now. Right, got all my slats cut now. That was a bit tedious, but that's all done. So what I'm going to do now is look at fixing them onto the table frame. I think what I'm going to do, probably going to be a little bit lazy, is I'm going to make these a 45mm. Let me just see there. I'm going to make them a 45mm gauge, which leaves a tiny little gap there. Gap doesn't want to be too big, but then doesn't want to be too small in case they swell up. So I think what I'm going to do, rather than try and, I've got this, so I should say, I've got this wider board on the end. Just gives a bit more of an overhang, make a bit of a feature on it, and also covers over the end grain of this this leg. So what I think I'm going to do, rather than try and gauge it exactly between the these wide end pieces, I think what I'm going to do is gauge it 45 in from each end, get roughly to the centre, and then put, I know it's a bit cheating and a bit lazy, but then put another wide board in. I'll cut that to the right length. look at that. That's all done. Made my back ache a little bit. So yeah, it's gone quite well actually, but I did change my mind actually. When it got to the centre, I just ripped a bit down a bit smaller. I don't think you're going to really notice it, as again we sort of have to keep our feet on the ground really with what this is. It's basically a table which is made out of scrap timber. I'm going to advise the customer that he paints the legs this sort of grey colour that I've got elsewhere on the job. The Douglas fir and the larch top will get Osmo oil on it, so it should be relatively robust in terms of weather resistance. I don't think it's going to leave it outside all the time anyway. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. One thing I kind of did notice was that I gauged out all these slats, and actually, as you can see, some of them, because these have been kicking about a while, some of them are obviously different size, they've shrunk, and some come up slightly bigger than others. So I'm still glad I gauged it, because had I have just used packers in between each one, it would have got all over the show as I went down there. Another thing that perhaps someone might suggest I should have done was put all these slats on first, left them long, and then put the guide rail and the track saw on it and just cut it all off straight. I didn't do that specifically because I didn't want to have breakout, lots of little bits of breakout on the end of each one. So and that would make it really difficult to sand. So I think I've saved myself that aggro of having to sand those off, but instead I had to cut them all and put a straight edge down, as you saw. So what I'm going to do now is, we're nearly done now, so what I'm going to do now is get my belt sander and just sort of belt sand the sharp edges off all of that, and that'll be about that. I've suggested to the customer about putting some sort of rubber feet on the bottom, and I've got some old washing machine feet I thought would be really good, and fortunately he's kept similar kind of thing, so I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom and stick those in, and what that'll do is just keep those legs off the ground a little bit, because although they are going to be decorated, that's where the water might get sucked in. So yeah, I'll get the belt sander out and get those edges knocked off, and then we're nearly done. Nice. Right there. That's it. Beautiful. Right, let's turn upside down, put those legs on. Yeah, so that just, these were waste as well, I think, so that'll just keep those feet off the floor a little bit. So let's get that turned the right way up, see if we can get it into the garden courtyard there and see what it looks like in its position. Let's see if that's going to work on the old dolly. wicked. I think that's all right. Nice. So there it is, in place. Really, really pleased with that. Considering it's made out of basically not waste wood, but wood that was left over, I think that's made a really good job. Sits in there just nice. Maybe could I have made it a tad bigger, maybe? I don't know. No, not really, if you want to get a sort of chair in each end, maybe 3 across the back. So yeah, I think once this top sort of matures down in the weather and the sunshine, the same colour as this other larch, I think that'll look absolutely brilliant. The Douglas fir, which is absolutely fabulous, and one thing anyone who uses Douglas fir will know, it has a really distinctive smell when you're machining it, which I really love. You know, it's one of those, it takes me back to my days in the workshop when I was an apprentice. I used to love the smell of that timber. So I know I'm not going to win any prizes for imaginative joinery here. It really is pretty simple, sort of butt jointed stuff. But again, we didn't really want to make too much of a big deal out of it. It's just using some of the materials we had left over. I'm pretty happy that with these bolts, these M10 bolts for each side, I think that'll be nice and strong. And even if they shrink a little bit, we can just crank on those nuts a bit more. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Great job done. I think the customer should be happy with that. And now he can fully enjoy this wonderful courtyard garden. All he needs is some nice sunshine to go with it.